Welcome to Germany for today's qualifying session at the famous Hockenheim ring. The pit lane lights will turn green in the next minute or two to signify the start of qualifying.
Yes, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of my F1 2016 career mode here around Germany. Now, I know a few of you will be like, why is he going around Germany? Well, to be honest, I know I said at the beginning of the series that I wasn't going to do Germany, but when I was recording this, I realised I said I wasn't going to do Germany, so basically when I started recording, I forgot I wasn't going to do Germany. So, here's Germany. You know, it's just like, I had a brain fart, is what happened. And I forgot that I wasn't going to do Germany. I did Germany, so here it is. You know, it's no biggie. But anyway, we've gone out in Q2, unfortunately, qualifying 12th. So let's see what we can do in the race then. Hopefully, we can get into the top 5 at least.
Good afternoon and welcome to a place that is very special to us all in the Formula One community. It's the Hockenheim ring, home of the German Grand Prix.
So far, let's keep this momentum going and deliver another good result here.
For once, I'm actually going to agree with the engineer there. The season is actually going quite well, for once. We're only 2 points, I think it is, or is it 2 points? Yeah, 2 points behind Hamilton in the championship, so it's going quite well at the minute. You know, it's going as planned. But as we go to 3 red lights, 4 red lights, 5 lights, lights out, and here we go for the German Grand Prix here. As we get off to an average start, we've got a Force India going around, no, a Renault and a Force India going around our outside, but we managed to get through the first corner unscathed, as we're now going to go down the inside of a McLaren Honda here, and a Toro Rosso, and another Toro Rosso, and a Williams, and maybe another Williams. That was a monumental dive bomb for the beginning of a Grand Prix, I will admit that, but as we now have the Williams behind us, possibly going to go for an overtake maybe, because they are quite quick in a straight line. But no, I brake really late and I go down the inside of a McLaren, touch the rear of Verstappen, I think that is. And we get away with it by only losing a bit of our front wing. I will admit, this didn't affect the car a lot, but I felt like I wasn't really going as fast as I could with the damage. If that makes sense. But here's a replay of the Mercedes is battling away at the front. This was in front of me at the time, so I don't know if you would have seen it up ahead. But anyway, moving on to lap 2 now, onto this straight. You'll probably see this straight quite a lot during this Grand Prix. But as we go down the inside now of Max Verstappen, I think that is, it's quite a simple move really, but he's coming back at us. Is he going to stay there maybe? I don't know. I mean, we've got the inside line for this corner, but no, he backs out, and Ricciardo has passed Vettel, our teammate. So here's a replay of that pass as well in front of us. So he's basically got the same situation as me with Verstappen, only he's gone round the outside of my teammate, and now my teammate is in front of me. But anyway, moving on to lap 3 now, as we set the fastest lap of the race. Got DRS on Vettel now. Going to try and go down the inside of Vettel into turn 2, I think this is. Yeah, turn 2. And job done there. We now go after Ricciardo. But up ahead, we've got the 2 Mercedes battling away here. We've now got Rosberg overtaking Hamilton for the lead of the Grand Prix. Hamilton is going to try and keep it round the outside, but he's run a little bit too wide, and Rosberg has got the overtake done. Moving on to lap 4 now. Hamilton is now coming back at Rosberg on the same straight with DRS, so you know it's going to be, you're going to see this straight quite a bit in this Grand Prix, I will admit. As Ricciardo almost goes for a move on Rosberg there, And now we have oh, that's the second engine failure in 2 races for Rosberg. I think that is. Is it Rosberg? Yeah, I think it is. So he's now out of the Grand Prix, and we now have Ricciardo on lap 6. This Ricciardo and Vettel made their pit stops, by the way, and that was Verstappen coming up behind them. So because they started on supers. So this is them overtaking traffic, and this is on the next lap now. Ricciardo go down the inside of another Haas, and that car there coming out of the pit lane is Hamilton. So Ricciardo is right behind Hamilton right now. So I don't know whether he'll be able to overtake him for the lead or not, but well, obviously not, because on the next lap now we've got Hamilton overtaking Force India for, well, I don't know what position it is, but he's just overtaken him for a position, and this isn't really good for me because I'm like alone ahead, and as you can see there, I didn't manage to get the replay of Ricciardo overtaking the Force India, but Vettel just overtook him into the first corner, which was quite impressive to be honest. But now moving on to the straight again in lap now, we've got cars going 4 wide going down the straight. This is absolutely mental. I decided to show you this because, well, it just looked mental, didn't it? So, you know, it's like you've got a a Williams overtaking a Toro Rosso, and then a McLaren trying to overtake someone, and then it just all went heads up. I don't know what I'm trying to say. But as we now come into the pits now, changing our front wing. Now, I know I said earlier that it was alright to cope with, but I didn't feel like I had the pace to actually keep up with the leaders with the damage, so I decided to change it. Yes, I'm coming out a bit further behind than I would have liked, but you know, you just got to deal with it, because you know, that's life really in this. As a few laps later, Vettel picked anyway, so I effectively have, like, I don't know where I am in the race at the minute because they've made 2 stops, I've only made 1, so I don't know whether I'm ahead of them legitimately or not in the Grand Prix, if that makes sense. But as we now come down the back straight now, coming down to overtake Perez for 3rd, I think that is. That was 4th position, by the way. He is legitimately there on the mediums. I mean, he's gone quite far in the mediums, to be fair. But as we now have Ricciardo on the next lap overtaking Perez again. This is after him and Vettel have made another pit stop. So Vettel has jumped Ricciardo in the pit stop. I didn't actually manage to catch that on the replay cameras. But oh no, that was me. Sorry. This is Ricciardo overtaking me now on lap 16. So I don't know where Vettel is. Oh, he's there. I don't know if you saw him then on top of the screen. But now moving on to lap 17. Now coming down this back straight again. He's trying to overtake me. I'm defending the inside line on the mediums. He's on the softs, by the way. So, you know, it's obviously going to be quicker than me when he's on the softs. But, you know, it's kind of like, you know. But moving on to lap 18 now. He's now got the inside line. I've got the outside line. I'm going to try and do the undercut on him. Undercut or switchback or whatever it's called. But it doesn't work. And he gets the position anyway. So, you know, it's very unfortunate there. But what's this? I'm going to go down the inside of him again. We make contact. I go down the inside. He gets pushed wide. And I've retaken that position. I mean, I know it wasn't the most legitimate position, but, you know, who cares. But I get a poor run out of the final 2 corners. And moving on to lap 19 now, he's going to go around the outside of me into turn 1. No, he backs out of it. And he lost quite a lot of time there. And that car coming out of the pit lane then was Hamilton. So he's now a pit stop ahead of us 3. Because now Vettel is right behind us. So as Ricciardo go down the inside of me there, I take out the DRS board and I get an illegal overtake on Ricciardo. So that kind of ruins that battle, because then, because Vettel is side by side with Ricciardo, I'm going to have to let him and Ricciardo through so I don't get an illegal overtake. As I run wide, just ignore that. But as now Ricciardo has got DRS on my teammate, and they're going to go side by side down this straight, we're just going to go on board with Vettel here. Good to go around the outside. He's going to keep it around the outside, maybe. As Ricciardo... Oh no, Ricciardo just cuts in front of him, and he takes himself out. Brilliant! That's great racing there from Ricciardo. I mean, what was he thinking? Here's a replay from on his onboard. I mean, he just cuts across Vettel. I mean, what? What is that? come on, Ricciardo. I mean, I know you're better than that. I mean, obviously you're fighting for the race win and all, or second place. But, you know, I mean, why bother do that? As Vettel goes into the pits for another pit stop, so I now effectively have another pit stop in hand. I mean, I'm pitting again, obviously, here it is. But, you know, I don't really know what Ricciardo was doing then. I mean, you know, I know the AI can be a bit stupid sometimes, so why cut across him? And he's clearly there. You know, I mean, I know he's not far enough alongside of him to actually, like, Ricciardo warrant him to give him enough space. But, you know, he's still, like, there, you know? So, I don't know. Anyway, coming out in 4th place now, just ahead of Verstappen, I think that was. And this was Vettel, he came out way ahead of me. This is Vettel now on lap 32, passing Bottas. That is 4th position, by the way, so Bottas is now in 3rd. So I'm going to have to try and catch Bottas now. Moving on to lap 31 now, this is Ricciardo, or lap 32 now. This is Ricciardo coming around the first corner. Yes, that's how far behind he is. And he's got an engine failure. His race just goes from bad to worse for Ricciardo. But moving on to the last lap now, this is Hamilton coming around the final corner to win the Grand Prix. Big congratulations to him. You know, he's dominated the whole weekend, so he basically deserves it. But as we come around the final corner now to claim 4th place, I'm happy with that considering where we started.
Swear that I'm fainting, I think I'm losing my sight, I swear I'm hitting the floor.
So the final standings then for the German Grand Prix are that Hamilton wins from Vettel by 21 seconds, Bottas finishes 3rd, surprisingly, and I come home in 4th. Considering where I started, I'm quite happy with that. I mean, I know I finished 30 seconds behind Hamilton, but he was dominant this weekend, so I can't really complain about that really. As you can see there, Ricciardo and Rosberg lose out on a lot of points in the championship. So they're going to be absolutely gutted with that result, as you got the usual suspects. Although Perez, I mean, he was quite far up in the Grand Prix at one stage. But in the driver standings now, we are now 2 points behind Hamilton. He's overtaken us, so I got mixed up at the beginning of the Grand Prix. Sorry about that. But he's now overtaken us, and Vettel has overtaken Rosberg in the standings as well. So Rosberg having 2 DNFs hasn't really helped him there. As now the constructors, Ferrari are now 1 point behind Mercedes. So I hope you enjoyed that episode. Please leave a like and a comment, and I hope we can have a much better, a win in Belgium, and I will see you in Belgium. Goodbye.